Hey guys, welcome back to our channel. Sorry for not doing our weekly uploads. It's been a very busy few weeks at uni right now. It's exam season, so also I have a bit of a cold, so excuse that. But today's video is going to be how to get help with your mental health. And it's more than just depression. It can be anxiety, OCD, BPD, sorry, and other things like that. So this video is just like, ways to go about actually getting help for your mental health. A simple way to go about getting help for your mental health is talking to someone you trust, whether that be a family member or a friend or someone like that. Just talking to people can really help with your mental health. Like it can really, it releases a burden off your shoulders, I think. So especially with anxiety, I think you can often think you are being very annoying to people. You can often overthink things, and then if you talk to a friend or family member about it, you can be like, hey, this is what's going on in my life, this is what makes me anxious, and possibly they make you anxious, and you can just sort of explain that to them, so then they can sort of change the way that they do things with you, and then they can be more understanding that, hey, sometimes you can't go out, sometimes you can't go out for a meal, and then you feel less guilty about it because they know what's going on. And when they don't know what's going on, you do feel guilty. You feel like, oh, I'm being flaky, but it's not you being flaky, it's your mental health, and that's okay. So I definitely think one of the best steps you can do is talking to someone you trust. But obviously that's not always an option for everyone. Okay, another more probably serious option is going to your GP or doctor or something. So I'm from the UK, so this is specific really to the UK, but it could be like the other medical systems. I'm not sure how they work, but basically going to your GP because you can get a diagnosis, you can get support, whether that be medication or types of therapy. You can also be referred to a mental health specialist, and you may also be recommended local support groups in your area. I know that that's definitely an option. It has been opened up for me before, but I've never took that option personally because I don't like big groups of people, and the thought of being with those people is quite scary, talking about your mental health. So that's never really been the option for me, and what worked for me was a mixture of therapy as well as medication. So it might be different for you, but I definitely recommend going to see your GP. And I know a lot of people are like, well, what do I do when I go in? Do I just say, hey, like, I think I'm depressed? Like, what I think the best thing to do is maybe 2 weeks before you have your appointment or whatever, write down times of day that your mood fluctuates. So say if you have anxiety or you think you might have anxiety, one way to cope with that, one way to talk about it with the doctors is point out when your anxiety peaks and when you have panic attacks, because then you can find a link between those things, and then that will definitely help with things like therapy, because then they can easily find sort of the root cause of it, and then they can sort of help you on your journey to recovery. So I really recommend doing that. Other things, just recommend for other types of mental health issues, what your mood is some of the days, like how you're feeling. Are you feeling tired? Are you getting too much sleep, not enough sleep? Like stuff like that, like the symptoms you are showing, like as you do the physical illness. So say, hey, you had a headache and an earache or something like that, you'd remember them. So sometimes it can be hard to remember over 2 weeks, thanks to your mental health. So just write them down, and then when you go to your doctor, GP, whatever, you can be like, hey, this is the situation. So yeah, I hope that helps if you are a bit on the edge of going to see them because you're not sure how about you should do it. Another thing to do is talk to like charities and like helplines and things along those lines. So in the UK, I know a very popular one is the Samaritans. I personally have never dealt with them, I personally never called them, but they are meant to be very good, so I'd really recommend, because I've heard a lot of good things about them. So they are trained professionals. If you are feeling suicidal or need someone to chat to, they're there, which I think is really great. Other things can be CALM, which is Campaign Against Men Living Miserably. I think they might have a helpline or something like that. There are also things, I'm just trying to think of them off the top of my head. This is really like UK specific, I am sorry about that. If you want me to make a video on other ones, I'll have to do some research first. But if you just want to find out, just type helpline and then your country, like mental health helpline, and then wherever you live. And then something should come up, because it's great talking to those people, because you may not be able to talk to you know, your friends or family, you may feel they judge you, but with helplines and stuff, they are trained to deal with all of this, and it's honestly, it is really, really great that they're there. And a thing that I know universities offer is a thing called Nightline, where you can either call, but I know a lot of people don't like calling. So another thing is they have like instant messages, which like I think is so good. Like the fact they actually have like, because when you have anxiety, the last thing you want to do is be calling someone. So when they have an instant messaging service, that can be really helpful. And I know the Samaritans as well are rolling out like a text-based service, because people do really struggle talking on the phone. I think it's a lot easier to type it out sometimes. So yeah, that's just a great thing. So if you are in a university area, you may be able to find a Nightline in your area. And honestly, I'd really, really recommend them. Like I know they do a really, really good job at what they do. And then maybe a final option is possibly if you're in education or you are working, you may be able to find some sort of mental health support there. I know at my university, I go to Lancaster University, and we have colleges, and each of our colleges basically has like a mental health thing. So you know, just someone to chat to, so you can just like email the wellbeing people like, hey, can I talk to you? And you can sometimes, it depends on how busy they are, you can get an appointment quite soon, but when it's exam season it can be quite difficult, I know that. Which isn't good because you're suffering the most, but the wait time's the most because like everyone's like so yeah, that is one thing you can do. You can see if your place offers that, whether it be work or school. Just like, you know, just find out if there's like a welfare thing and email them, talk to them. And it's really good if you do that, because then they are more understanding of your circumstances, because they may not know what you're going through, and then they might be critical of what you're doing because they won't understand why you're like this and stuff like that, if that makes sense. I don't know if that makes sense, but I'd really recommend going through support networks like that, through work, school, whatever, because then again, they can just understand what's going on, and it's good to have like a communication between you and them. So I recommend that. I know getting help for mental health can be very, very hard, but you're not alone in this. You're not alone in any of this. I know it can be so like patronizing, where people are like, oh, you're not the only one that suffers through this, and you sort of feel a bit like, oh, okay. And then also, I was very hesitant to get help at some points in my life, because I thought, I'm not at my worst yet. I'm not bad enough to get help. There are people more deserving. And I think that's such a negative viewpoint to have. Like, it's such... it's a horrible one to have, because no matter what you're going through, no matter if you think someone else has it worse, each individual person's circumstance is different, but that doesn't mean that yours is any less any less valuable of help, any less worthy of help. Everyone is worthy of recovery, so I'd really recommend trying to get help for your mental health if you can. And hey, if you are suffering, like, feel free to drop me a message on my YouTube page, on my Twitter page, on my Instagram page. I'll try to reply as fast as I can. Exam season is very stressful and confusing, but I'm always up for like a chat if you ever need someone and you don't know who to trust. And yeah, but you are worthy of recovery, and I want you really to know that, because I think a lot of the time people don't think they are, but you are. You're not alone. And if you don't feel you can get help right now, practice self-care. If you want me to do a video on self-care, like drop comments in the description, no, drop comments down below, whatever it is, like that'd be really, really cool. And yeah, so I hope you have a lovely day, and I hope you've enjoyed this video. Make sure you like and subscribe, and if you want to subscribe to my channel, there will be a box somewhere, if I can do it, where it says it, or I'll just put it in the description. Either way, it should be there somewhere. So yeah, I hope you have a lovely day.